A watch that contains both oil and magnets. You heard me right. This is the Ressence Type 5 BB. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex and today we're going to take a closer look at a very interesting and special piece. This is the Ressence Type 5 BB, and this is a watch from a brand that's quite young, that started out their journey in 2010 and that has captured many enthusiasts and collectors' heart with their very interesting take on a wristwatch. Ressence is a brand that was founded in Belgium 12 years ago, and they captured the whole industry with their Type 3 watch that they introduced back in 2013 and that also won the Horological Revelation Prize at the GPHD. And what was so special with that watch, you might ask, and that is that it contained oil. So most of the Ressence DNA is about oil-filled watches, or at least that's what put them on the map. They produce both watches with oil and without, and they have an interesting take on the whole concept of showing what time it is, and that is not by conventional hands. Instead, they have rotating discs that indicate the time. So at the first glance, it can be quite tricky to tell what time it is if you haven't seen a Ressence watch before, and we'll get into that specific matter in a bit. Let's talk a bit about the watch we have with us today. It's a 46mm big die watch. It's a kind of big watch, I have to say, given it's 46mm, of course, and it's about 15mm thick. However, this one, if you see something odd, it is that it's missing a crown. And you're thinking right now, maybe a die watch without a crown. Is it a screw down crown? How does it work? How does it get the water resistance? Well, the guys at Ressence solved this by the Ressence compression lock system. So as you can see here on the side of the case, you have the lock or set function. So basically when you turn the case here, you can put it in the set mode. And this is where the lack of a crown gets interesting, because you set the time and you wind the watch through this rotating disc on the case back. And this is a very interesting way of setting the watch. And it is a bit tricky to set this watch in the beginning until you get the hang of it. It took me some time to understand how this fully worked. But it's a cool concept, and as you can see here, while we're setting the time, it could be also useful to know how to read the time on this watch. It's not that difficult or complicated as it might look, because we have a regulator style dial. So that means that we have the hours on the smaller subdial in the middle of the watch, with the long hand or hand in the middle that shows the minutes around the dial. So everything is constantly in motion here. And as you can see, we also have a small seconds indicator, and this small second indicates seconds per 90 seconds. So it's not 60 seconds as usual, and that's just the Ressence way of doing things. It's more of a indicator to let you know if the watch is running or not. And we also have, as you can see, a small subdial that indicates the temperature of the oil inside the watch. So let's talk a bit about the Ressence Orbital Convex System, or the R.O.C.S, which is the most interesting part, I'd say, here at least. And this is an in-house developed module that allows the dial, or the upper part of the case, to be filled with oil without any disruptions with the movement, because the case also functions as a wall, so to say, between the module and the base ETA movement that is running the show, so to say. And in between those two compartments, if you can call them like that, there is a magnetic transmission that allows these two modules, or the components, to speak to each other. And the watch in total consists of 324 components, where 142 of them is in the module that is developed in-house. So this is quite complex, because when people hear ETA, they're like, but this is a 30,000-40,000 Swiss franc watch with the ETA movement. But I mean, guys, you have to look beyond that. This is something that is very technically impressive and also very complicated. So as I told you, this watch is filled with oil at the upper half of the case. And to be exact, there is 3.75 milliliters of oil in this watch. And since it's a liquid that changes its volume depending on how warm or how cold it is outside or where you wear the watch, the Ressence team has developed a system with 7 bellows that compensate for the temperature difference, which otherwise could have affected the watch with making bubbles in it or something that would disrupt the whole legibility of the watch. And this watch, talking about the legibility, is perfectly legible in all angles, which is very interesting. And that is what makes it the perfect dive watch, because it doesn't get any internal reflection when you submerge it underwater. So this watch underwater is perfectly legible, and also thanks to the awesome lume, because this watch is so full of lume, it's ridiculous, and it looks very cool in the darkness. And for the water resistance, the Ressence compression lock system works that whenever the watch is set on lock, there's a gasket that gets compressed in the case back, so it gets more water resistant than the other models in the Ressence family. They are usually like 10 or 30 meters, but this one is 100, and that's thanks to the Ressence compression lock system. So this is not a cheap watch. This watch is priced at 29,500 Swiss francs, excluding VAT, so it depends on which market you're in. For example, here in Sweden we have 25% VAT, so this is like 40,000 euro watch, which is quite expensive. However, I think it's very cool, it's very innovative, and if you're looking for a kick-ass dive watch that nobody, give or take, has, this should be on your radar, I believe. And I just think Ressence is a cool brand, very innovative. From the first time I've met them, it was back in 2019 at the Old Watches and Wonders, SIHH. It was a very cool meeting to see their watches, their interesting concepts. And they recently released the Type 8, which is a very minimalistic take, and it's a more wearable version, I'd say. And this one wears very big, so it's not maybe particularly in my taste. However, I love the concept, and I think the watch looks really cool. I love the concept of telling the time. It takes some time to get used to, but it's very cool. Everything is always constantly in motion. So this was just a quick video on a watch that has both oil in it and that is driven by magnetism, which is usually not the watch's best friend. So that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. It would mean a lot if you help this channel to grow, and I'll see you guys next time.